This is more, you want to get on the road, so you're going to get yourself a Sprinter, new, used, whatever, and you want to be on the road fairly quick. So one amazing thing about the van build that we did is the speed of the build. And our first van, the 4x4, worked 24/7 during COVID and finished that in 6 weeks. And that was pretty fast. And we tried to keep it fairly simple in order to make it quick. But that was 6 weeks. This one, start to finish, if you add up all the days, is probably 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, and maybe even a little less, but very quick. A lot of that has to do with ordering and stuff, but I'll give you my thoughts on how to do it quick. So how to make a quick van build that looks really nice and feels very nice. Now if you want a homey artistic build, okay, well, no, that's different. So then this video really isn't for you. But even though you can make this more homey and artistic, this is more, you want to get on the road. So you're going to get yourself a Sprinter, new, used, whatever, and you want to be on the road fairly quick. The key there is, one thing, try and source everything through Amazon. And because that way it's either in stock or it's not. It's prime delivery or it's not. Because that's one of the big things. Also, when you look at items, like for instance a composting toilet, Airhead was 19 weeks out, so their lead time was that. The Nature's Head, which then we put on the old van, the Nature's Head was available from prime shipping from Amazon, and so we went ahead and got that Nature's Head then. So make sure you adjust for what's actually out there, because there are supply chain issues right now, as everybody knows. But also try and use minimal materials, I guess. So in this case we used 80/20, and it's a 30/30 80/20, and so that's throughout this whole thing. And one difference that we had on this one, and this is part of trying to build it faster, is we added the door to the bathroom in 80/20 also. Didn't know how we would like that, didn't know how that would look. Actually, I think we like it. It works good. The other van had the sliding retractable shower door. That works great, but now you have to source that, and you also have to then marry that into the 80/20, and then you have to put a track down. You have to do all those bits and pieces. So in this case, no, it's just another door. And using the MakeCAD program that we use, the software for the 80/20, you just put a door and say, yeah, I want a door here, and it gives you the dimensions, you make the cuts, and you're good. Another thing is to keep things simple and think about it from a simple standpoint. So in the first build, I wanted it to be modular, so I came up with this idea of using L-track. Well, great, it is modular on the first van, but that cost $1,000, and it took me, I don't know, a week probably to install that L-track. And this build here, and Aaron's, where we got the idea, we did not. This is a cargo van, so it has tie-down points for lashing down big, heavy equipment to be towed or to be hauled. So this is very lightweight. All this stuff is super lightweight. So what I did was use ratchet straps like you can get from Home Depot, and put it in the D-hooks that are the tow hooks that are in here, the cargo hold down hooks, and then run it through, and so it holds this in nicely and tight. And so that saved a lot of time and a lot of money. And it's the same concept. You can get 3,000 pound braking ratchet straps or whatever. You don't need that, but you can, so you know that everything is very secure. Another thing is like our panel boards in here. The first time we used a plastic composite, which worked really well, but we needed to paint it, we needed to prime it, we needed to cut it with a saw, everything. This is corrugated plastic. I think it's Coroplast it's called. And it's super easy to work with. And what we did was we doubled this up. For one thing, the other van we had to put stuff behind the board so it didn't rattle, because it could rattle. This won't rattle. This is plastic, and what we did is we doubled up the coroplast and put it in there, so it's super strong. It's fine. Plus, when I cut this in here, this is for the dual top, I just took an X-Acto knife and cut that out and then put it in there. And then if I'm like, oh, I messed up, I screwed this up, this should be over here. No, I can pull this out of here easily. All I have to do is cut it out, pull it out, and then another one, which we can go to Home Depot and get that, I can put it in. So again, keeping things simple. Don't overthink things. Don't think that this has to be super strong in order to do that. The other thing is, like I said, with the sourcing, this we source from Home Depot. So find out what Home Depot has, Lowe's has. This refrigerator came from, I think, Home Depot also. So build it out for locally sourced items and not where things are back ordered, stuff like that. Another thing is we use the floor. Now this one is the plastic floor in here, which we love for a couple of reasons and we don't like for a couple of reasons. One thing, it's hard to keep clean, so it's not perfect. But we're going to put down runners and then it'll make it the same difference. But use that floor. And to back up a little bit, most people insulate their vans, so if you want to insulate your van, you can. It's very easy to do so. As you're before you start, you can insulate it. It's only going to take a few days to do. But in our situation, no, we don't want to insulate it. It's if we're talking about cold weather. If we're talking about cold weather, we have a diesel heater that is very strong. In order to, I think it's 12,000 kilowatts compared to most people that have a 144 use a 2,000 kilowatt. So we don't want insulation, and that helped on the complexity. Also on the flooring, we don't have insulation in there, and you're like, oh, it's way too hot during the summer. No, or cold during the winter. Well, we haven't been in snow, we don't plan on it, but with this heater it would not be an issue. So kind of look at some of those things. Do you absolutely need to do that? Do you want to be on the road quicker, or do you want to make sure that you can snowboard for the whole season? Which in that case, if you're snowboarding for the whole season, yeah, maybe you want to have it all insulated. So it's a matter of kind of using what's already here and and then going with that. Another thing is, like, if you order a Sprinter, which we're going to be doing with the 2023, make sure you order the wall panels, and then those wall panels, because we did this in Aaron's, can be used for this material. Even though, truthfully, I think if we do it again, I would actually use this plastic corrugated material. I think this is better than on Aaron's van. It probably looks better because it's a gray, it matches everything else. This is a super easy to use. So it's a matter of trying to keep everything in check as far as your scope. And in our case with solar, instead of putting solar on the top, which would require roof rails, which I spent a lot of time on the 4x4 on the roof in 100-degree Wisconsin weather, I have portable solar panels instead, and we're going to try that out. Instead of going with the Victron components or the Renogy components or whatever that are all individually put in, you have to run cable, which is a lot of work. I also spent a lot of time on that. Look at power stations. You can just put those in and you have immediate power, and you don't have the circuitry that you have to do. You don't have the cabling. You have minor stuff you have to deal with as far as powering your stuff, but much easier than, like I said, Victron or Renogy or any other ones that individual components. So anyway, that's let me go through one more thing, and this is not necessarily speed of build, but it's more, I have no holes, especially in the other van. I had holes for the L-track to bolt on, but that's it. There's no holes in this van on the floor, and instead for the toilet, I have a hole through the middle, so the outside of the van and the inside of the van, then there's a little gap in there. It's a 1.5 inch hole that then vents the toilet. But then what I did was I used that same hose, and I'll go through this in another video, but I'm just talking about trying to keep things simple, is the dual top needs to pull fresh air from outside in, to keep it cool, and for the combustion of the diesel heater, I ran it through that same tube. There's no heat on it, whatever, it's just air. So the same thing. And same thing with the dual top. I put it in, I needed to exhaust it. Well, one option is to go straight down. Well, no, there's a frame member there, so I'd have to move it over anyway to do it. I didn't want to go through the floor. So what I did was I drilled that 1.5 inch hole through the side of the wall. It's unseeable. So when we pull this out, and if we sell it as a cargo van, there's no holes. So that's another thing, is kind of like think out of the box a little bit. Try and not have too many holes in the van if you can. But reuse what's here. So like this here is the electric that comes with the van. So I ran my own cables through this, and plumbing, the small 3/8 inch tube in the back is coming through this to come over to the kitchen. So those type of things, kind of reuse what's here and go with it and not overthink it. So instead of having 30-30, 80-20, and then 40-40, and send some wood, and with that's all perfect if that's your desire. But if you want to do a quick build, keep your material list smaller, and it'll make it much better. So anyway, I enjoy the quick builds. So I do not want to do a 6-month build. I won't do it if it's a 6-month build. If it's a quick build like this one, and within a week we had windows in, and I was living aboard, even though it was kind of a mess or whatever, but living aboard with all the components in, and then a week later, basically, it was kind of ready. And then a week later, it was like, I haven't touched it for the last week. So that it's a matter of, that's my desire. If that's your desire, consider something like that. Look at the program called MakeCAD. Use 80-20. Pricing from wood to 80-20 now, I don't know, it might be the same. It might be cheaper to do 80-20. I don't know, but this is like, you don't have to engineer this stuff. So that's pretty much what I have for you on this one, and hopefully you get something out of this, and good luck in your builds, and subscribe, like, if you have comments, questions, whatever, put them below, and we will answer them. So have a good day.